Welcome to the sun-kissed city of Miami in Florida. We're here for the Marlboro Cup, a competition involving 4 of the World Cup sides, later to be staged, of course, in Italy this year. But for tonight, it's the United States against Costa Rica here in the Orange Bowl in Miami. The Marlboro Cup, which the United States have staged for the last few years and have generally done well in. And here is the Costa Rican side in the red shirts and the blue shorts. Now, the first match is the United States against Costa Rica. That will be followed by the other 2 sides here, Uruguay and Colombia. Now, the 2 losers then play off for 3rd place, and the 2 winning sides go through to the final, and they will contest the Marlboro Cup. Well, the Americans, of course, due to appear in the World Cup finals later this year for the first time in 40 years. And this is how they got there, with this dramatic goal scored by Paul Caligiuri against Trinidad and Tobago. And really that, I suppose, the most famous goal in American history. But it was sufficient to take the States through, along with Costa Rica, who won the group convincingly. They won 5 of their 8 matches and lost only 2. The United States won 4 of their 8. And interestingly enough, when the 2 sides met, Costa Rica won by a 1-0 in their home match, and the United States won by a 1-0 in the return. Now here are the 2 sides. And coach Bob Gansler has named this United States team. Goalkeeper Tony Meola and number 6 John Harkes, just back from England, where they've had trials with Sheffield Wednesday. And number 7 Tab Ramos, also just back from England. He was playing for Leeds United. The Costa Rican sides, perhaps not so familiar to European audiences who will know some of the American names. Nonetheless, coach Marvin Rodriguez has some formidable players. And watch out for the likes of number 14, Juan Cayasso, and number 17, Hernan Medford, who is very quick indeed. And he's a potential star. So the 2 sides here in the Orange Bowl, with a crowd of around 25,000 having paid to come in and watch this match. Great hopes, of course, for the American side. Let's not pretend that it's one that's created vast media interest in the States yet, but the closer the World Cup comes, the more excited they will become. But the Costa Ricans, I know, are expecting to do well in the World Cup. They're in a group involving Brazil, Scotland and Sweden. Tonight's referee, Omar Evangelista. But Costa Rica certainly lack nothing in confidence, and they will not be lacking in confidence here either, against the United States side that was not quite as convincing in qualifying for Italy, but which has been brought together by their coach, and they've been training together consistently now for several months, so they certainly know one another's play. There must, I suppose, be a danger of knowing each other just that little bit too well. That can happen when people are cooped together for long periods. And the mock kick-off there, by the way, was just carried out by one of the 1950 United States team, who recorded a memorable, momentous indeed, victory over England by a 0-0. One that will live long in the memory, I'm sure, of many people. But nothing like that tonight. It's Costa Rica against the United States. Costa Rica in the red shirts, the Americans playing in the white shirts and the blue shorts. And as much as anything, this tournament is being used by the coaches to create patterns, formations, and just for the coaches to get to know a little better the squads they want to take with them to Italy in, what, about 4 months' time. The United States there will be playing Italy, Czechoslovakia and Austria in their group. And Bob Gansler does admit that the American side starts as perhaps the least favourite of all 24 nations in the World Cup this year. But a good crowd here, and it's going to be a good learning process. And recalled to the United States side, Brent Goulet, who is another who's had experience in England playing in the Football League with Bournemouth and Crewe Alexandra. He starts wearing the number 9 shirt and plays up front alongside Bruce Murray, who has been consistently in the United States side as one of their strikers. So here we go, United States and Costa Rica in the Orange Bowl in Miami. And the pitch in very good state. That was a little high, was the foot there perhaps? And the first free kick went to the Costa Ricans. And here is Enrique Diaz, a tall, gangling player who shuffles up and down the left side of the field and poses quite a few problems. This is Mike Windishman, the captain, who missed most of this week's training due to a bereavement in the family, but arrived in time to take his usual place. Straight away, Medford, the young hope of the Costa Rican side, and he's created good space for himself too, and that ball's into the side netting, and it's the first corner of the game for Costa Rica. Well, great things are expected of young Hernan Brian Medford, number 17 here, who's coming over to take the corner, and there he created good space and won the corner. So Medford, who plays for the Saprissa club, and it's pretty long and outside the penalty area. Cleared first time by the United States, who will seek to build down this left side. That was a nice touch forward towards Murray. The centre-back coming across was Montero, who's a formidable player, and over-formidable on that occasion was Alexis Camacho. Perez to Harks, who looks for the return ball and plays a lovely pass inside that penalty area towards Murray, who just couldn't control it, but Harks again here. Bliss is the left back. At long last, a Costa Rican boot gets to the ball to pump it high up the field. Windishman plays the sensible ball back to Tony Meola, the goalkeeper, who's only 20 years old, and I can tell you he just can't wait. He's itching for those World Cup finals, is Meola, keen to put himself on the world stage. Caligiuri. And here inside the Costa Rican penalty area there was a little bit of jostling, but Montero eventually came away with the ball. But here are the States again, and a good chance to cross, and it's gone beyond Goulet, and that will be a free kick against Caligiuri. Caligiuri, another really looking forward to playing in Italy, because he's second generation Italian, as you might guess with a name like that, and several of his family are hoping to be there to support him and his side's cause. Ironic that they should be drawn against Italy. Left for Montero, then given back to number 16, who was Carlos Garro Araya. Some of the Costa Ricans call themselves by their middle names, some by their surnames. But that ball was rather lazily lost in midfield, and it's given Costa Rica one more chance, but it just faded away, did the attack, and now Bliss. Perez, one of the few Americans who plays club football. He plays in France with Red Star. Another one is Peter Vermees, who plays over in Holland, but he's not here. Bliss again, taking up a good position down there, but the defender who came across to do the covering was Juan Cayasso. He's not a defender really, he's a midfield player, but he comes back to do his chores. Perez. They're expecting great things of Perez. The break is on as Cayasso plays that ball down the touchline, but it's just that bit too fast for Medford. And you can see the number of substitutes on the bench there. Both squads have named a full 20 players. There's Jose Chang with a moustache of Costa Rica, one of those that they can call on. Windishman. rather deliberate build-up, and the ball caught between the feet of the big defender over there, who is Steve Trichu. And yet another plane from the nearby Miami International Airport drones overhead. It was a very noisy stadium. The Americans are quite pleased with this crowd of 25,000 here. Said, of course, that there's no real tradition of soccer in the States, so they can't command the audiences that American football can, for example. Nonetheless, they're quite pleased with this attendance. Bliss did well then. Windishman pushes the ball forward with the instep. Now turns it back inside. Trichu. Well, that wasn't a very controlled pass from Trichu, so the clearance was by Obando. Caligiuri now. Well, the States are pushing the ball around at the moment, quite comfortably. Possession 9/10 of the law, I suppose, at the moment. And it's won, very well, 1-2. And here's a great sprint by Obando, and right across the face of goal, and Miola wasn't able to get there, but then neither was the man coming in on this side. But that all broke down in midfield, and Obando showed that there is some pace in this Costa Rican side. He was away out of the blocks, there was no stopping him. And he obviously was trying to find Medford coming in and couldn't do so. But there was a lesson there for the United States. They must not give the ball away in those situations. An unfortunate slip by Bliss. His captain helped him out. There's some good purpose about the Costa Ricans when they attack, as Medford is doing here. And any country who played against them in the World Cup qualifying stages will tell you, as Coach Gansler, that the Costa Ricans are no pushover by any means, and they have a corner here. Their only other defeat was by Guatemala, apart from that 1-0 loss to the USA. This is Medford. Usually tries to drill them in fairly hard. There he is with the right foot, and there's a great header and a goal! Super header from Juan Cayasso. And the Costa Ricans are off the bench, their hands are in the air, they have the lead. Well, we'll see on the replay, but it struck me that Cayasso's header was delivered from almost outside the penalty area. Now he's just 5 yards inside, but what a deliberate header it was, no doubt about it crossing the line. Miola could do nothing about it. Struck in by Medford. And watch out now, the first player makes the run and can't get there. Cayasso does, and he's almost stooping. But he gets great power and height on the header, and it's too strong for the defence. So Coach Marvin Rodriguez has got the perfect start. And the announcement is made on the very, very loud public address system as the States come back here. And the goal scored in the early phases of this game by Juan Cayasso from Saprissa. What a good goal it was. And Cayasso, one of a number of Saprissa players in the Costa Rican side. It's a very strong club contingent. Coronado and Medford and Diaz and Camacho all play for the same side. And of course, one of the drawbacks for the United States is Enrique Diaz, the tall and gangling man, comes again. Here is Diaz winning another corner, and they've been lifted by the goal. I was about to say that one of the drawbacks for the United States side is that, of course, they play so little together. In fact, it's a free kick. Without any sort of national league at the moment, there is a league of sorts, but they don't play many really good competitive matches. Hence the problem that Bob Gansler has of fixing up a suitable itinerary for the States before they go to Italy. But that's a pretty good ball, well kept out, and Diaz hooks it almost out of the stadium. It was the right thing to do. Well, you can see the smiles on the faces of the Costa Rican substitutes, happy that their side has got the lead. Here inside the area, they were looking for a foul, none given. But the ball won back, given to Bliss, and that looks as though it's a free kick, and it is. Bliss unmercifully brought down by Coronado. Floated in, and they got there all right, and here is Harks with the header. And John Harks with a clear header there, but he couldn't keep it on the mark. Nonetheless, when Perez floated it in, well, he managed to work the situation for Harks to have a clear header, but he couldn't direct it. Oh, now Medford, who's tricky as well as skillful, but he's not that quick. That was a good firm header out of defence, taken on by Cayasso, the goal scorer, and they're finding their man quite nicely. There's a bit of a stumble there, and not very good control by Obando, but he keeps going. And eventually the other number 7, Ramos, works the ball away, goes for the return pass from Harks, and it wasn't well, it was forthcoming, but much too far ahead of him. If you keep hearing announcements and wondering what it's all about, we've had a constant progression of thank yous on the loudspeaker system to all and sundry here. That's the American way. Interestingly enough, this match is being beamed to about 12 countries, but ironically not to the United States themselves. They're not taking the game. So a free kick for Costa Rica, who are without a couple of their top players. Roger Flores is away in Brazil playing in the Zico farewell match, but here we look again, and a great turn, and what a superb effort that one was. And that was Medford with the left foot. That was a thrilling effort, and a good save from Miola. Let's give him the credit too. But a really quick turn, and there is Medford showing his prowess, and Miola his too. Well, Medford has an eye for goal without doubt, and it really tested the keeper's nerve and agility. Another Costa Rican missing from the game is the Herediano forward Claudio Jara. Well, they've still got a pretty strong squad, as we've seen, but here are the States, and Perez just couldn't nick the ball to his left with any great strength. Big tall defender is Trichu, who scored one of the World Cup qualifying winning goals. There's not a lot of method about the States side as yet, something that will not have gone unnoticed by Bob Gansler. Ball played out by Herman Chavarria. Well, they do like to control the passes and string them together. There's nothing rushed about the Costa Ricans at the moment, and this is Diaz. Looping pass forward. And the free kick is against the Costa Rican for backing in. That player being Medford, who switched over from right to left for the moment.
Mundial Sports Group wishes to thank all very important work.
And I think that announcement is thank you to watching. Bliss. It's an unfortunate pass from the fullback, who's not having a very good half, really. He's been tormented by Medford. That was Medford under threat again, and the fullback used the only way he knew to stop him, I think, that time, but he's come away with the ball. It's 1-0 Costa Rica. Just the encouragement they needed. They only arrived in Miami yesterday and have had one late evening training session, that's all. Interestingly enough, the Colombians who play Uruguay in the next match didn't train at all. They say they've played in this Orange Bowl stadium so many times they didn't need to train on it. But over the years, the United States have had a good record in the Marlboro Cup, so they'd certainly be looking to defeat the Costa Ricans here. A number of foreign managers are taking the opportunity of having a look at World Cup opponents. Here's a chance, Perez. Still play continues with Harks. And among the crowd watching tonight are the Scotland manager, Andy Roxburgh. Keen, no doubt, to see what sort of opposition Costa Rica are going to provide in his group. And Ol Nordin from Sweden will be equally keen on having his first look at the Central Americans. And that bounced unpredictably, and Diaz takes it on. He's a very awkward customer. There he was again with a back header and a free kick, I think. And there you have the bird's eye view from just the back of Tony Meola's goal. Referee Evangelista wants to play himself by the look of it. Nonetheless, free kick Costa Rica. Abando will hoist it in. And they'll look to the height of someone like Diaz maybe. Oh, and Meola makes an unconvincing attempt to punch the ball out. It's come as far as Cayasso, the scorer of the one goal in the match so far. Harks did nicely there, wriggled away and continued the momentum, and now he goes for the return pass as well. And Harks, if anybody, looks as though he might turn things in midfield, and he's done well on a couple of occasions there. That was a great tackle, crunching tackle that came in from Montero. Nothing wrong with it. The referee close enough to see that. Murray plays it down the line. Goulet is better on his left foot than his right. Has to work the ball back for Perez. A little flick, nearly came off. And they're still looking to work a position inside the Costa Rican penalty area. The ball is turned back, the drive is just wide. That's the best move we've seen from the States by a long, long way. It's got the flags flying here. And there were at least half a dozen passes put together on that occasion. There's the shot, it was Caligiuri. Well, fortunately for the States, he was even closer against Trinidad and Tobago, but he hits it well. Well, they call him the man with the golden foot in the United States. Unlike Diego Maradona, the hand of God, he has the foot of God after that goal. There was a warning to Costa Rica in that.
Marlboro and Mundial Sports Group express their appreciation to Adidas for its support making this year's tournament a success. Adidas is the official ball of the Marlboro Cup. Thank you to everyone in Adidas.
No danger of not hearing everything that he says, but here's Diaz. He's got his right foot, and that's certainly not his best one. Enrique Diaz. Oh, the ball lost by Miola, and there must be a free kick for that. Pushes someone away, and I think we'll probably find that Miola will be back on his feet in a moment or two. Took a little bit of a blow on the back of the neck there. Well, it was Coronado who went in for the challenge. Couldn't stop Tony Miola. Remarkable to think that he'll be going to Italy at half the age of the England goalkeeper, Peter Shilton, who'll be 40 during the World Cup finals. Miola has really claimed his place in the United States side, with David Vanoli dropping out with Bob Gansler's squad. The substitute goalkeeper, there's Bob Gansler. The substitute goalkeeper tonight is Casey Keller, who was particularly impressive during the World Youth Championships in Saudi Arabia. Bliss, confronted by Cayasso, who wins the ball too. Well done by Cayasso. He is a good player, and he's going hunting again. Cayasso's got a goal, he's won the ball, he's carried it forward, and has generally had a very good half. And the Costa Ricans, good value for their lead, although we did see a few moments ago how Caligiuri might well have equalised for the States. It's an unusual atmosphere in many ways, because there are so many Uruguayans and Colombians in the crowd here tonight. There's a very strong South American population in Miami, and the flags of those two nations, with them playing one another immediately after this match, are waving throughout the time. 22 minutes gone, and Costa Rica leading 1-0. And Colombia against Uruguay, another match you'll be able to see on Screen Sport. We'll be following the Marlboro Cup all the way through to its conclusion. So look out for the listings in your local newspapers. You can tell the proximity of the stadium to the airport by the fact that those planes are no more than a few hundred feet over the top of this match. Here's the United States free kick. And the Costa Ricans aren't bad in the air. They have a lot of very tall players. So unlike some Central Americans, particularly the Mexicans perhaps, they do have some very tall players who are commanding in the air. And they get the ball out of the penalty area quickly too, as they did then with Marchena. Headed forward, looking for Goulet. Oh, and almost a stumble by the defender. That was Montero. He's a very solid performer, Mauricio Montero, from the Alajuela club. But on that occasion, his control was perhaps found just a little bit wanting. He had to concede the corner kick. And maybe they'll look for another shot from Caligiuri. He usually hovers just outside the penalty area. He's just inside on this occasion. And there it was, Caligiuri going for the header. And here's the shot. Oh, fine save by Hidalgo. Jorge Hidalgo. Fine stop. That will be picked up. Just kept in. Not so. Well, that's worth another look there. It was Bruce Murray's shot, and it would have gone in, no question, but Hidalgo was down quickly. Trichu. Caligiuri. This is a better build-up, and Brian Bliss comes foraging down the left. Oh dear. To be fair, I think Cayasso, his intervention just put him off. There's another unfortunate error by Bliss. Cayasso trying to worm his way between two defenders. Well, they've managed to retain the possession again. And Obando. Oh, it's good skill. And again, it was Bliss. He could do nothing right in this half, who failed to control it then. Many of the 50-50 balls have been won by the men in the red shirts. That one was won by the referee. So here is Harks. Perez in front of him. Just to give it to Bliss. Windishman turns it right to Trichu. Well, this is what they've been practicing in their training camp at the University of Florida all week. When the move breaks down, they don't exactly move as a unit. They might do now. Oh no, easily broken up, and then the ball came back to Bliss. And that was Medford, showing good awareness. What can Cayasso do with it this time? He found Coronado, but once more, when the move breaks down, the Americans take it up and then play the ball straight to the opposition. That was to Montero. That's given Medford another chance to take on the American defence, and the mistake was by Krumpi. Paul Krumpi in the side at right back in place of John Doyle for this match. He's on the bench along with the likes of Jimmy Banks, John Stolmeyer, Eric Eichmann, who've all been regulars in the United States starting lineups this year. So Bob Gansler having a look at one or two different options in this match. So our camera behind Tony Meola's goal again shows you just where that free kick is being taken. Good few yards outside the penalty area. Here it comes straight through, and Meola decided he had to turn that one aside. It might just have crept outside the upright, but Meola wasn't taking any chances. And he explains so to Trichu. Again, it was Cayasso who drilled it through. Well, difficult to say from that angle. This one should give us a better guess. Yes, it would certainly have hit the inside of the upright, I imagine. And we're back live with the action, and it's going to be a goal kick. So we've had more than half an hour, and the Costa Ricans protecting their one-goal advantage. Once more they look to Medford, and he has so much skill and pace that he's going to be troublesome to a lot of defences. Hernan Brian Medford, an unusual combination of names, and in some ways is an unusual combination of a player. And they're not afraid to have a crack, and there's another one. Well, the Costa Ricans off the bench once more. They're very unlike some of the countries who go to World Cup finals and really seek not to lose by too many goals. The Costa Ricans enjoy having a dip at goal. And they will not be overawed even by Brazil, I don't think.
Come on! Come on!
Originally, the United States were scheduled to play Uruguay in the first game, but Bob Gansler asked that they switched the matches so that the United States played Costa Rica because he wants to play against different styles. I would think he's hoping to win this one and then play Uruguay in the final. Well, the crowd are enjoying some of the skills and some of the nice touches of the Costa Ricans in particular. And they've one or two very useful performers, there's no doubt about that. And that's a free kick against the rather awkward looking Enrique Diaz. He's nonetheless effective at times. Windishman, who was the player of the year last year in the States, took that free kick. It wasn't a particularly good one though. And here come Costa Rica again, and that ball might cause problems. Miola was alert and he had to boot it away. Otherwise they could have been 2 down, and that would have been rather humiliating for the States in their own stadium here in Miami, the Orange Bowl. But there's a certain confidence about this Costa Rican side that bodes well for them.
Can you remove me the camera?
They're often quicker to the loose ball, as they are again here. Cayasso plays it out towards Diaz. You can always tell Diaz by the gangling gait. Looks to get on the outside now, gets his cross in, and Miola flicks it just out of harm's way. Well, that's a Colombian flag that's being waved in preparation for their game against Uruguay. 1-0 it is, Costa Rica lead. And it's been an unnerving half for the United States side in so many ways. Now they try to build through midfield, and really they haven't been able to get Harks and Perez into the match enough. There is Perez out this touchline. Bliss, poor cross, and again the break is on, and Medford streaks away, and he'll try and get round Windishman, and Miola comes, and that's brave goalkeeping. He timed that perfectly, but Medford got around Windishman with undue ease. But congratulations to Miola for his part in that. He's let one goal in, but on that occasion he was spot on. So the closing phases of this first game in the Orange Bowl in Miami. The United States 0, Costa Rica 1. A goal in the first 10 minutes by Juan Cayasso. A very, very solid header indeed from just inside the States penalty area from a corner taken by Medford. And here's that man Diaz again. He's done some pretty strong foraging down that touchline. And it looks as though he was being held back on that occasion. So referee Evangelista says free kick to Costa Rica. And at the moment I would think it's the United States who will be looking to a half-time pep talk far more than Costa Rica. They'll be quite happy with the way the half has gone. Here's this free kick now. And the header came off the back of an American shoulder, making Miola's job just that little easier. Cushioned the flight of the ball, really. Perez playing very, very deep.
Si alguien le cuenta que Costa Rica es más peligroso atacando por alto que por bajo, nadie lo puede creer. Sin embargo, esa es la característica del...
Well, they're stretched all the time in playing these passes, and that's the sort of thing that happens. Medford was intercepting in between them, and away he goes again. He's had a very impressive first half as Medford. Cayasso was alert enough. Here's a great chance for Diaz. Enriquez can make it 2. Side netting. And he's blown that chance. And they know it. Look at the space that Diaz found himself in. And he managed to beat the goalkeeper. But to be fair to Miola, he'd just done enough to make the angle difficult. Well, it's easy to say that should have been 2-0. It certainly could have been. But again, I would think it would be disconcerting to Bob Gansler to see just how easily his defence was prized open. Just 8.5 minutes left of this first half. And here's that man Diaz once more. This time they were not in harness. That's a good ball over the top, and Goulet chases. Pursued by Montero. Has to try and turn away from trouble, and by now Costa Rica have got a lot of men back. But Trichu will deliver the cross, a little bit too flat, and it's Montero indeed whose head was in the way. Once more, Costa Rica have been in control of the situation. Well, there's a coolness about their defence. Cayasso here in midfield for them. Found his man. Here's Medford. Again, he's trying to get around Bliss. Keeps the ball in play, and he's worked that situation well. Oh, and then he let himself down. But still, it comes back to the Costa Rican player. Cayasso helps out, gets his cross in, corner.
Además, claro, Costa Rica está tonificado en lo anímico al encontrar tantas facilidades de este equipo de Estados Unidos, que reiteramos, está mal parado.
You get the feeling that the United States defence is at panic stations at times, and when they've had the chance to clear the ball, they've not always taken it first time. And the hallmark of a good side is being able to weather the pressure. But here it's Costa Rica coming towards half-time with a chance to make a second goal for themselves as Medford takes it. No header this time from Cayasso. But they might just keep the pressure on. Diaz had come in field. Still there. Waits for the support. Diaz across the face of goal. He's got it back again. I'm sure Bob Gansler would be a great deal happier if his side could somehow contrive a goal before the break. That was well done by Perez. Now here's one of the better moments as Goulet for the United States. Got it right across there, and the header was by Murray, who did well really, climbing in behind the defender. He's a very tall chap, is Bruce Murray, about 6'3", so he should get up for these, and he got up above Montero. In fact, he was Marchena, but he couldn't get it on the target. So the scoreline is the same. But some good action here in the Marlboro Cup in Miami, and it's a very warm evening. Temperatures have been well into the 80s all day, and I imagine it's still round about the 80 mark even at this time in the evening. And the spectators are now waiting for that half-time whistle. The Costa Ricans will be very, very pleased with the way things have progressed so far in this match. The United States less so. Perez wasn't quite quick enough, and the Costa Ricans once more snapping in there, winning the ball. And even when they've lost it, they've generally had someone there to win it back quickly. They've also used their wide players, Medford and Diaz, to good effect. whereas the Americans have not really shown as a team here. They've played more as individuals, and they've not been able to provide a service at all for Murray and Goulet up front. And I don't think it would be much of a surprise if there were to be changes at half-time in the American lineup. Cayasso that time couldn't get it past the opposition, so Perez there for the States. Takes it on with that good, he's got a very good left foot as Hugo Perez. Worked out now on the right, it's just going to stay in play though. And that will be a corner, won by Goulet. Brent Goulet hasn't really been in favour with Bob Gansler in recent months. Surprising perhaps because he's got the best goal scoring record of anybody who's ever played for the national side. Here's the corner. Away, but only with the side of the boot. Oh, that was a fine effort. That really was a very good effort indeed. And there have been a couple of occasions in this half when the United States have managed to get shots in from outside the area. One from Caligiuri was unlucky. And on that occasion, again, this could have been good enough, but it just cleared the crossbar. But here come Costa Rica. It's out by Trichu. But it just seems to me that the Costa Ricans have had the majority of possession in this half. And they've done quite well with it too. So Marvin Rodriguez and his henchmen alongside him. Well pleased, I imagine.
Estamos sobre el final de la primera etapa. Este 1-0 de Costa Rica.
Is it going to stay 1-0 up to the whistle? Well, again, they won the ball inside the penalty area and they've won a lot of aerial dominance. Well, I suppose now is the time to slow things down if ever there was a time. And the experienced Montero, 26 years of age, plays it out right. Good approach play. This is Camacho to Cayasso, scorer of the one goal and winner of that free kick with just under a minute and a half of the half remaining. And the game has generally been well controlled by referee Evangelista. And there's certainly been no bad incidents whatsoever. Oh, it's a good effort. Fine header, tipped onto the crossbar by Miola. And again it was in the air that Costa Rica had the dominance. Well, he's had some worrying moments in this first half as Tony Miola. Here we have a look again, and there is the header. Just flicked against the crossbar. There's Coronado. Here's the corner. Ooh, I thought he was going to win it once more. Still the ball will not go away. Looping little cross. It's beyond Miola. And coming in on this near upright. I think it was Coronado again. But, unable to direct that ball past Miola. But, in fact, another corner has been awarded. So the ball was already gone out of play, and here they have one more corner, perhaps the last moment of the first half. This, yet again, the ball won in the air by Montero that time. He'd gone up to support his attack. And Miola, for one, will be happy to get away to the dressing room. The States need a breather. And he really thumped the ball long downfield. So perhaps the last action of the half is concentrated near the Costa Rican penalty area. Well, despite a couple of very good efforts from Caligiuri and Harks, They've not been able to find a way through. Ramos also had a shot which cleared the crossbar. But we really are in the closing seconds of the half here. Out by Montero. And out even further by Diaz. It doesn't matter how far he kicks it at this stage. The further the better for them. And that half-time whistle must surely be about to sound. Indeed, there it is. Referee Evangelista signals that the teams should head for their dressing rooms in separate corners of the field here. So Costa Rica are leading by a 0-0, scored by Juan Cayasso in the early stages of this game. Half-time is United States 0, Costa Rica 1. We'll be back with the second half. Welcome back to the Orange Bowl in Miami, and the initial match in the Marlboro Cup. It's Costa Rica leading the United States at half-time by a 0-0. And not surprisingly, Bob Gansler, the American coach, has made one change in personnel for the start of this second half. Jimmy Banks has come on in the left-back position, replacing Brian Bliss, who quite honestly had a nightmare of a half against Hernan Medford. That's the only change so far, though, and I suppose he could have been tempted to make 2 or 3. There's no limitation really on substitutes, and he's got as many as 9 lined up on the bench, ready to come on. So the States playing from left to right in this half, in the white shirts and the blue shorts. Costa Rica, not surprisingly, have made no substitutions at all. Marvin Rodriguez extremely happy with the way things are going from his side's point of view. The intensity of the excitement in the crowd is increasing, with the Colombians and the Uruguayan teams actually sitting and watching this match in the stadium. Well, there'll be a quite deafening roar for that match, but a lot of interest in this one too, with the locals just hoping that the United States are going to find a side that can do something in the World Cup, although I don't think their coach is too optimistic. Costa Rica looking also to find some form of pattern and some encouragement before they go off to Italy in June. And they have the encouragement of an early free kick in this half. A constant drumbeat in the background. That will increase in tempo if they manage another goal. Cayasso runs over it. Eventually the shot is coming in, and there will be an offside. The announcement there that Jimmy Banks is on, but no such worries for Costa Rica's coach. He's one of the smallest coaches in the world, Marvin Rodriguez. He's about 5'4", I would say. Windishman, long ball played forward, rather aimlessly really. It was an easy one for Coronado to control. It's going to be another free kick. It's conceded by Goulet, and really he's had no service at all, neither has Murray. And the ball nodded on by Diaz. And that's going to be a free kick, surely, against the Costa Rican who was assisting up there, was Garo. It would certainly have been interesting to hear what Bob Gansler had to say to his side in the dressing room at half-time. He was far from happy with the way the team played. And there, a lovely shot of the ball coming down and dropping on the head of the Costa Rican defender. So the chase back is by Trichu, who's pushed all the way by Marvin Obando from the Herediano club. Well, a crowd of 25,000, that's official now, here in the Orange Bowl. Uruguay and Colombia playing in the second match, and then just to remind you, two losing sides play one another in the third, fourth playoff match, and the two winners go through to the final to contest the Marlboro Cup. Viola certainly kicks the ball like a mule. Again, he's got the ball up to the edge of the Costa Rican penalty area. They're almost falling over one another there, though. Taken on now. A rather hapless cross. So things continuing not to go the United States way, which is why we have that scoreline. And the Costa Ricans good value for it too. A little word for goalkeeper Hidalgo. Referee Evangelista is concerned about time wasting there. And that's in the early moments of the half, so what's it going to be like towards the end? Played back by Abando. Pushed wide. They certainly do have a pretty good pattern to them and a good rhythm too. Diaz climbs high. The proverbial leaping salmon is Diaz at times. He's about 6'3" and he climbs to about 7 feet as well, I would think. But here's a promising break by Goulet, who shows good control in getting away from his first two markers. There's a little sympathy for Goulet because he's not had the service. Diaz works hard once more to win the ball back for Costa Rica. Oh, this is good work. Excellent play again by Medford and by Cayasso. The two of them have really been thorns in the side, and there's a good movement. And the ball coming right across the face of goal after Cayasso had initially caused problems. That was Medford's ball. And whacked across the face of goal. A few yards wide though. Crumpy in the right back position will start things off. Now he'll ask Windishman to deliver the next pass. There's a bit of uncertainty about the United States there. Crumpy set off on a run down the right, then checked, and the man with the ball had no one to give it to. Tab Ramos, who's not really figured in the game, got a rap on the ankle. Much expected of Ramos. He and Hugo Perez are highly valued by their manager, who thinks they're his most skillful players, but so far in this game neither of them has shown up, and Ramos looks as though he might not take any further part in this match to me. He's sitting down and just waiting for the treatment to be administered, but they can't get on to do that until the referee says yes. There's Jimmy Banks involved for the first time. Well, this time they have retained possession. Nicely laid back. So again, it's one for Costa Rica. And Abando sprints over halfway. And they've a lot of men forward here. Cayasso. Abando. Well, they're not short of skill, they're not short of movement, and they're not short really on enthusiasm, the Costa Ricans. That's one of the least skillful moments. And indeed, Ramos is to retire. And we'll have our second substitution with Frank Klopas coming on instead of the unfortunate Ramos, who I'm sure wanted to do better in front of this crowd in Miami. seems to me the Costa Ricans in defence read things very well. Certainly then Montero knew exactly where that ball was going to be. They tussle for it well too, but Viola leaps and stretches his fingers. Bob Gansler doesn't really look particularly happy, does he? That's a little unfair to read too much into his gaze at that stage. That's Perez's ball forward, and again Hidalgo will take those all day. Cayasso. This is Banks. Caligiuri leaves it for Ramos. Trichu has to look up and wonder who's ahead of him. And really just played the ball straight to Montero, to his head and into his hands, really, metaphorically speaking. Concentrated attention to detail there. Diaz with the header. Well, Windishman, the captain, really has to lift his side now. Goulet has taken up a position out on that left touchline and drifts in field. Nice turn from Goulet. Oh, the cross wasn't bad either, but it was pretty well comfortably cleared by Marchena. Here's Medford. They linked together nicely. Bando. Oh, unfortunate slip. Or was it a trip? Indeed, it was a trip and it's a booking, so the first of the match. I couldn't see a great deal wrong there, but the referee did. The first booking of the game. There's a nice little touch on. They continue to win the ball back. Here's Diaz. Can he keep this one in? No, not even he. Sliding that ball through and going for the return. This is good play from Harks on another fine intervention. Montero's been at the heart of every good bit of defensive work. That's unlucky for Goulet. The ball still comes from Merry. And across. Oh, just too long. He was in the right position there to get in the header, but the two defenders just managed to sandwich him out of it without committing any offence. Yet again the public address batters our eardrums. The only battering going on the field at the moment is to the Americans' pride. They are down 1-0. Well, the announcement is all about some competition, and the winners will get trips to Italy for the World Cup finals. So let's hope that by then there is some genuine fever in the United States about their team's chances. I'm sure there will be in 1994 when the USA act as the hosts to the world's greatest soccer competition. But for now we look at the Marlboro Cup. Don't forget, Uruguay and Colombia meet next. Action of that can be seen also on Screen Sport. The action at the moment concerns Hugo Perez, who is down clutching a knee. Perez has missed a lot of matches for the United States. Here's how he comes a cropper, and yeah, that's probably the worst tackle we've had in the match, committed by Hector Marchene.
Marlboro is pleased to present
Perez genuinely hurt, and I think he's saying so to the referee, and saying he shouldn't be allowed to get away with things like that.
to the first 5,000 fans today and Sunday.
So more action on the touchline, more thinking for the coach. Perez has to make a decision whether he's fit to carry on or whether he wants to go. But Perez, as I was saying, has missed a number of matches due to injury, and therefore has not been a regular member of the squad really for coach Bob Gansler. Windishman's free kick. Murray climbed well, but he couldn't find anybody with him. He's involved in it again here, Murray, though, and again. So he's had a busy start to the second half. Well, it will certainly be disconcerting for Bob Gansler and those alongside him on the bench if his team loses the first match of this Marlboro Cup. They were so badly wanting to get to the final of the competition. So far Costa Rica hold the aces, and Cayasso wins a free kick, rather craftily I thought. He'd actually got away from Perez, who looks to have recovered from his knock on the knee. The United States have already made two substitutions here, with Jimmy Banks replacing Brian Bliss at half-time and Frank Klopas on for Tab Ramos. Costa Rica relying on the 11 who started the game. And here is Diaz, Enrique Diaz with a chance! 2-0! And Diaz certainly knows how to celebrate. And the Costa Ricans, all off the bench, they're on the pitch. And Enrique Javi Diaz scores the second for Costa Rica. And boy, as they say, do the United States have a mountain to climb now. The cross was delivered. And Diaz found himself in a tremendous amount of space when it went beyond Crumpy. He took it on and he required no further asking. Miola might just have got a touch, but he found the corner of the net. And Enrique Diaz deserves the goal. He's never given up in this match, but it went through Miola's hands, and that was sufficient for the celebrations to begin. So now Costa Rica, 2 goals to the good. Must be feeling pretty good about life here in Miami. And we're well into the second half as well, and the way they're playing, who's to say they're not going to get more? Here is Diaz, lovely ball inside the back, just that little bit too long for Obando. But they've been worth their lead, worth their 2 goals. Tony Miola and his defence. No, they've got a very tough assignment on their hands. Indeed, they knew that when they met in their qualifying group. Costa Rica's 3rd match in that was against the States, and they beat them 1-0. And indeed, Costa Rica qualified literally over a year ago. Not quite, but they were almost certain of qualification. And as soon as the United States defeated Trinidad, they were definitely through. Along with the States themselves, of course. And on the evidence of this match, you would fancy Costa Rica to do rather better in Italy than the United States, who really haven't put things together at all. They are trying to do so now. Well, an unfortunate slip just inside the penalty area. It was by Parks, who has been one of the more impressive players when he's had the chance. He hasn't had a lot of chances though. Once more, Cayasso orchestrates things. Taken on by Medford, who's a very lithe and lissome player, only 21 years old. He's experienced enough in the game of football. Crumpy. His mistake, I suppose it was, led to that second goal because he never read the cross right and allowed Diaz to sneak in behind him.
Importante función por hacer de este torneo un éxito este año. Gracias a sus integrantes, a los integrantes de Adidas.
Well, I think the Americans in the crowd here in the Orange Bowl are a little bit stunned by the events of this first match. They were really building up their hopes. That's Eric Winalda, another of the substitutes on the United States bench. They really did feel they were going to beat Costa Rica and go through to the final. But it's not working out that way. And a lot has to happen out there in the middle for the events of this game to change, with only just over 20 minutes. 20 minutes gone, that is, 25 to go. Winalda, the substitute you just saw, hasn't yet made his debut for his country. Well, Hidalgo hasn't seen much of the ball this half. For that, I'm sure he's very grateful. Jorge Hidalgo, the goalkeeper, only 23. There's a lot of experience in this Costa Rican side. Diaz, the scorer of the second goal, for example, is 30. Just see what happens here. Medford got the ricochet. That's well played. Just to continue on the age theme, Chavarria is also 30. Both Coronado and Obando are 29. Cayasso is 28. And Montero 26. So there's a sprinkling of experience in the side, and then the youth is on the shoulders of the likes of Medford at 21, Hidalgo the goalkeeper at 23. The United States, on the other hand, have the most inexperienced of all 24 nations qualified for those World Cup finals, with an average age of only 23. The likes of Miola, only 20. You can see the anxious looks on the faces of the American substitutes there, just wondering if they're going to get a taste of the action. Control, and Diaz gets in there. Viola off his line, and the whistle had gone in any case as Coronado went forward. Well, still the United States have not been able to work it out how they can find a way through this Costa Rican defence, which has been extremely resolute. Certainly when you look back in the match, although Caligiuri and Harks and Ramos have all had efforts at goal, that's been about all from the States. Whereas Costa Rica, as they come again now with Medford, have had 2 or 3 chances. It's a corner for them this time. But Perez, or rather Diaz, has thundered one shot into the side netting when he might well have scored. They've hit the crossbar. They've scored twice. And here is another Medford corner. And he loops it, but easily taken care of that time. Marvin Obando from the Herediano club has worked very strongly, and Diaz again gets his centre in when he'd no right to do, really. There's a handball there. That was by Chavarria. And Murray has a bit of room this time. One defender confronts him, now another. Harks. Left to go by Krumpi. Substitute is Klopas. No, it wasn't a bad cross, but no sting in the header this time. Well, it's not been a particularly good night for Goulet. He's worked quite hard up there, not with a great deal of authority or cooperation. Costa Rica are certainly looking good for a victory and a place in the final of the Marlboro Cup here. And there are a number of Costa Ricans living down in Miami, so it will not be an unpopular victory by any means.
Marlboro.
And I suppose we could reach the stage where Bob Gansler thinks it might be worth putting on another 1 or 2 players just for 20 minutes to see how they go. Perez.
If you have access to the street, plan to do so. And when you arrive Sunday, stop on your way into the door.
But often, of course, a coach can learn more from a defeat than he can from a victory. So if you look at it from that point of view, Bob Gansler might well be learning quite a lot here tonight. And it's not as though they don't get another game, of course. Whoever loses this match meets the losers of the Uruguay-Colombia game. That header was on the mark. Again, it will not trouble Hidalgo. Diaz. It was a good first-time cross. Diaz has shown a capacity for doing that, and here he is once more, sticking out that great long left leg of his, unable to quite control it that time. He's really been a thorn in the side, though, of the United States, as Enrique Diaz. Oh, delightful ball through. They certainly know how to play it around. Chance was wasted on that occasion. They certainly find their man. Some great comfort at times. They should be the least worried of the 2 benches. Even then, you always see coaches looking at their watches. If they're leading 6-0, I think they do that. Johnny Chang, one of the substitutes. Costa Rica still sticking with the 11 who began the match. Cayasso, who got the first goal. There's a bit to say about things. And there were 2 good goals struck by Costa Rica as well. Nothing that Miela could do about either of them. Certainly looks as though Ramirez, number 10 there, is going to come on. Cayasso stayed down a little while after that knock, so he could be the one off. Oscar Ramirez Hernandez. Now a chance. Oh dear. Didn't even hit the mark. Eric Winalda for the States is on as well. Yet seen who's coming off, but Winalda certainly is on. So it's his debut for his country. And nicely taken on, so an encouraging first touch by Winalda. So 3 substitutions made by Bob Gansler, and that was certainly worth his while doing.
Les insisto que con poco Estados Unidos.
Still Ramirez Hernandez wanting to get on for Costa Rica. Winalda looking to add a bit of urgency, a touch of spark to this United States attack. There hasn't been much for most of the evening. Perez, nice little shimmy, goes off to his left, tries to work the ball through the middle, and we have 14 minutes left. Again, it's Perez, and that's a better one, but just that fraction too much pace on it for Harks in the chase. So it's still the United States of America 0, Costa Rica 2, and the sands of time are really running out for Bob Gansler's side, and this is not encouraging for them with those World Cup finals coming up, and when you think that they've been together for such a long time. And the chanting increasing in the crowd. Uruguay and Colombia will be the next 2 teams out. They have big support down here in Miami. Was in fact Brent Goulet, who went off to be replaced by Eric Winalda. So the Americans have used 3 of their substitutes, 9 in all on the bench. Well, the flags are still flying here, but that's the Costa Rican flag, and that's not what the United States wanted to see. Here's a break. Chance now, maybe. Oh yes, he's done nicely now. Skipping past 2, run out of it. And the referee saw that there was no interference by the defender on that occasion. That defender being Marchena.
Oscar Ramirez.
Here is Ramirez Hernandez. I think it's Cayasso who is coming off. Cayasso certainly done his job in scoring the first goal. Was confident by Montero. Very solid centre-back though is Mauricio Montero. The little flick on was good, didn't quite work, and Medford won't get there. Well, surely now the Americans can't come back from this deficit. There it is. It's been a very assured performance from the Central Americans. And he doesn't really look like a Costa Rican, does he, somehow? And again, every time that ball goes loose, there is a Costa Rican snapping in there first to win it back. Their performance has been impressive. And I think it's only fair to say that they could have won by even 3 or 4 goals. The best efforts from the United States, those shots which were on target in the first half from Paul Caligiuri and John Harkes, but neither of them able to beat the Costa Rican keeper. Here's Wijnaldum now. Harkes. It was a more hopeful ball than anything. So Trichu has the confidence to take on his man. Fine Wijnaldum. Lost again. Medford wants the ball down the middle, but in fact it's gone out to that right touchline. Well, they do raid with confidence, and Medford comes looking inside the penalty box. But in fact, that was probably Cayaso's last touch of the game. He's the one who will be coming off. The number 14 held aloft. And here is Ramirez Hernandez. Gets a good luck tap on the back from his colleague Abando. Cayaso getting a good hand as he goes off from the Costa Rican fans.
Costa Rican team. Coming out, number 14.
Looks like being a corner. Well, Medford is that's him crawling under the hoarding. Medford, that's an unusual prone position to find a footballer in. He's up and he's taken the corner quickly. And here he comes now, Medford. Oh dear. Well, it was an unfortunate slice, but even then it went to a colleague, which perhaps sums up the fortunes on the night.
Él tuvo la posibilidad, reiteramos, de que aquí hubiese hoy una goleada histórica a favor de Costa Rica.
Ken Medford. So dangerous and good skills as well, and there's Medford, and he wasn't more than a couple of yards away. The ball slicing through that penalty area, threaded its way between a number of defenders. The referee says that it's got a deflection. Well, I'm not quite sure where from. The goalkeeper certainly didn't touch it. It's a corner all the same, and claimed.
Que a modo alguno busca la posibilidad de cortar esos centros.
That's going to be an American corner. Well, something dramatic is needed now to turn the tide. A lot of running, a lot of movement, but easily headed out, and that's given a chance to Medford again to break, and he's so quick on the break, and he won't be afraid to come in field. Medford does and keeps going. Oh, what a run by Medford, and a cracking shot too. That was worth a goal. Well, straight from one end of the field to the other in no more than about 5 seconds, I wouldn't have thought. Medford certainly knows the route to goal, and he cleared Miola. What a great effort that was with the left foot. He is a potential star of the future. And Medford's class has certainly shone through in this match. And he and Cayaso and Diaz have perhaps been the 3 players to impress most in attack, and certainly Montero in the Costa Rican defence. I think they know it's just about all over now. barring some calamity, Costa Rica are going to win this one. Whether the margin will still be 2-0 at the end remains to be seen. As Wijnaldum juggles and loses out in the end to number 19 Hector Marchena. Somehow there has never been the cohesion there in the United States ranks to convince anyone that they were capable of winning this game. And as soon as they went a goal behind, you felt that they didn't have the resources really to pull it around. Trichu, again that long and hopeful ball, looking for the tall players up there like Murray. And they do keep battling, as Diaz did then. Murray. And the tackling defender was Camacho, one of the Saprissa contingent. Well, I'm sure Bob Gansler will have drilled it into his side. You have to keep going for the whole 90 minutes, and that's what they're doing. Wijnaldum, good cross that time.
Bien cubierta, bien
put over the top
de
by Marchena. Corner doesn't matter to the Costa Ricans, but it does give just a shred of hope to the United States. And Diaz has picked up a bit of a knock. He'll want to keep on now. I think he'll want to play the full 90 minutes. Indeed, he got up there to head the ball out. Oh, and again this break is on. Well, we've seen what Medford can do on one occasion. This time it's a rather sloppy pass. But he has them backpedaling every time, and he really has put the American defence through the mincer at times. Easily picked up by Chava. Well, they're not afraid to play their way out of trouble either. Oh, for once, I think referee Evangelista got it a little bit wrong there. He could have allowed advantage, but the whistle had gone, and that's what happens. Not a happy man. Born in Hungary, Bob Gansler, but he's lived in the States since he was 11. But I think he'll know that there is a lot of work to be done on this side. He, on the other hand, Marvin Rodriguez, will be quite elated by his team's performance. And Costa Rica will go through to the final to meet the winners of the Uruguay-Colombia match, which promises to be a little closer fought, perhaps. Both those countries qualifying from the South American groups, although Colombia had to go to a playoff match against Israel to clinch their place in Italy. Just a reminder that you can see that match, as indeed you can see all the matches in this Marlboro Cup on Screen Sport. Here's a chance. Hernandez, back again here, Abando, and he just couldn't work it out and weave it through. It's been an extremely sporting contest. There has not been a malicious tackle in the entire 90 minutes. As a result of which, the referee has had a very easy task indeed. But there's no question now, as we're inside the closing minutes, that Costa Rica are going through to the final of the Marlboro Cup to meet the winners of the match which follows this one between Colombia and Uruguay. But here, the result of the first match in the Marlboro Cup, and it's a victory for Costa Rica over the host nation. And pats on the back all round. Goals then from, in the first half, Cayasso, in the second half, Diaz, have given Costa Rica victory by 2-0 over the United States. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage from the Orange Bowl in Miami. Watch out for Uruguay against Colombia coming up. This is John Helm saying goodnight from Florida, with pictures of a very happy Costa Rican coach, and he's got a right to smile. Thumbs up indeed. And we'll leave you with the goals from Costa Rica, which have taken them through to the final of the Marlboro Cup.